Hello everybody, I'm Ben Yard, now I'm the Somerset Whittler, and today I'm going to attempt to whittle an angry bird. So I'm always looking for ideas and inspiration on what to whittle, and I asked my young son, who's actually sat there watching the Angry Birds cartoon, and he said to me, "Dad, why don't you do an angry bird?" So I thought, okay, let's give that a go. So I've got my pad. You can probably see I've just lightly sketched something, so I don't have to do 2 or 3 sketches on camera and look a complete donut with my drawings. But this will be the wood I'm going to use. It is basswood that I ordered on Amazon. I'm moving away from the camera because I'm looking for my tape measure. I would have thought by now I would organise myself better. What do I do with that? There it is. Okay, so let's see how big this piece is. I think it's 1.25 inches. I'm pretty sure I paid for 1.25 inches, but that is 1.5 inches. Make sure it's the same each side. Yeah, so that's 1.5 inches. These 6 inches in length. Not that we will need that, but if I can do it under 3, I could get 2 out of there. Maybe not. Okay, let's not worry about that. So I just like to sketch, not because I'm going to use it for band sawing or scroll sawing or anything like that, although I could, because I have both a scroll saw and a bandsaw. The only reason I don't use those is because the idea of these videos is that everybody can sort of carve along who can, and not everybody has the facilities for that. And when he sort of said to me, "Oh, an angry bird," I've kind of done birds before. Really good place to go looking for a bird. I did a cardinal from Arlene Zoomer's site, which is really good. And I'm just looking on my bench. I think I changed it because I don't tend to carve exactly the same as most people, although I sometimes do. But I did a very small kind of kingfisher, I guess. That one was from following Arlene Zoomer's website, or YouTube channel, should I say. And that was quite early on in my carving hobby. So I won't be too far dissimilar from that one, really. So if you notice that I'm doing a similar type of thing, it's because I've done it before and I've learned it off of other people. So I don't like to copy other people though, so this one is different because we are going to turn this one into an angry bird. But I tend to do that a little bit if I can. Don't like to copy too much. Sometimes I will for practice because you can learn so much off of other people. Sometimes I like to go to the bandsaw, use somebody's design. In fact, I've got one sat on my desk here. So this is a design by Floyd Radigan of a Civil War soldier. So I basswood block, probably the same size, isn't it? Yeah, same size. So I've just gone around him. I tend to only do side. I think that's just kind of how I've worked. I have kind of done the front a little bit, and it's not really, see how I've gone in there and not there. I haven't got the greatest of bandsaws. I've got a really old rickety one, so I tend to only do one side. Anyway, what I'm going to do with this guy when I get around to it, and this won't be on YouTube, this is just for my own practice. I've gone around there, but I won't use it as a soldier. So what I'm going to do is get rid of all these pictures later on, and then I will start rounding it off, changing it. Because I've left this wood here, I'm not copying what he's already done. Again, nothing wrong with that, but I'm not. So all this wood I've left on so I can do something slightly different. What I'm probably going to go do with this guy is completely cut the shoulders off down here. And I'm thinking about turning him into a gardener. So he may have a spade, which I may put in. And he might be somebody leaning on a spade or a fork. Or who knows, I might do it in something else. What else to put? Maybe I'll do a road worker leaning on his spade. Anyway, that's for another day. He's been sat there for a little while, so he's not inspired me enough to get going yet. Anyway, let's get back to the bird. So that's the piece of wood I've got. So I need to work out an angry bird, very much unlike the cardinal I've done in the past, or like that kingfisher that I've done there. It's going to have a really sort of rounded head from what I've seen on the cartoons, and I have only just briefly seen it. Almost like duck looking, which is going to come in here and here. I'm going to get a nice rounded sort of body on it. So it's got more of a chick sort of look. I will probably turn that into some type of wing, I reckon, like that, and then just bring the belly here and the feet there. So you might be thinking, why did you need to draw that? Because what I need to work out is roughly where that beak is going to lay in regards to my head. So if we were to do something along this type of line, and I started like that, I'm going to run out of room in order to curve that head, and I'm going to end up going into the eye area, and then I'm going to end up in a right mess. If I take that beak too far down, I'm going to waste wood that I could have used for a second one. So by just drawing it out, I think and I don't need to draw this precisely, I just need to work out whether I've given myself enough room. So in theory, if I hold my wood there and then give myself a little touch, my beak area is going to be round about there. My head shoulder area is going to be round about there. And my legs are going to be around about there. And that's just telling me roughly the wood I can play with. Now I'm standing up looking at it, I'm realizing that's probably going to be quite a big bird. So I could reduce that down a little bit. Not sure. I think I will probably leave it like that. So what we would do is we would draw a line across here, because we're going to work off the corner on this one, and then we're going to be going up, back down. If you want to be precise, and as I've seen other people do on some of their channels, get a ruler out. Why not? I don't, because I'm proper lazy. Like so. We want to give ourselves a bit of biting room here. So we're going to come down here, and we're going to go up like that. And this was roughly where our head was going to finish, which means we're going to be rolling in from here somewhat before going back out there, which means we're going to be rolling in here. It sounds like I know what I'm talking about, doesn't it? If I wasn't filming, I would have just cracked on with a knife and then tried to work it out as I was going, and probably got frustrated because I'd done it wrong. So I'm going to take a bit of this off. So that would bring it in more like that. So we are going to go a bit wider, because otherwise it would look a little bit funny. So I think we could probably go something like that. I think something like that. And that means our wing could have been in here somewhere. Could even bring that down and that up. But anyway, all I really need to know is how much wood I'm going to need. So what I'm going to do now is go to the bandsaw and just chop myself off. I might give him little feet actually. So I'll probably go to the bandsaw and chop myself off at about there, I think. Okay, talking too much as per usual, but that's something different as well, isn't it? So anyway, off to the bandsaw. Be back in a bit. Okay, we're back. And I saved myself a little bit of wood. And you probably haven't seen me carve with this particular knife before, because most of what I've done so far online has been small little 1x1 wheels. But now we're moving up to 1.5 inches. And like I say, this is probably a better project on 1.25 inches. But I'm not going to rip that up. This is what I've got. And my knife here is a Helvey Dave Stetson rough out. So the blade is longer and stronger. And that's the only reason why I've flicked over to this one. You can still do it with a medium detail knife, which is how I do most of mine. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I've got the tools, why not use them? So I might just bring this up a touch as I'm looking at it. Keep looking at your project and adjusting it if need be. Don't get too stuck or rigid on things. Just thinking it might be a bit blocky if I don't pull that in a little bit. This beak I'm going to try and make as reasonably big, but I might learn to regret that, who knows. Anyway, what we will do is we will just take in the top, take in the back, and we will take in the top. feels funny holding a piece this big. I'm so used to holding pieces like this sort of size. It feels quite large. Okay, so just rounding them off just to see where. Keep looking at the beak, wondering if it's a little bit too low or not, but let's just go around and have a look, see what we think. I always like to look at the top to see whether I'm level all the way around, so I don't end up putting my block down and then realizing I've got a really lopsided head. Okay, we're going to come in on the corner. We're just going to follow that in. I'm not going to go totally on my lines until I go back and have another look afterwards. Like so. We're okay. So I'm not too sure if we're going to go for a really cartoony look, like you would see off the cartoon, or whether we turn it into our own sort of look. I think we'll probably turn it into our own sort of look. Got quite a bit of wood here, so we can get rid of these. These corner pieces are going to be no good to us. So let's get rid of them early doors so we know the shape that we got. Should have done that when I started, really, because it's going to bring that corner in again. So before we nibble away too much and lose stuff, what we've actually got to do is work on the beak. So how we're going to do that is we've drawn the beak on already. We've got the line that we want. I think we got our beak as the right sort of shape. May pay just to double check that several times, see if you're happy. I think we're right. And then on that line, center line that we've drawn, we're going to take a cut up towards the other line. And then we come down on that other line. And we do the same as we go around. Okay, on that line and up. Okay, hopefully that's making sense. Well, you can see me doing it, so. And then you can work out yourself how deep you want that. You want that beak. I think that looks okay. Same on the other side. From that line, we're going to go down towards the other line. Take this gentle. There's no need to go mad with it. You can come slightly below that line if you want to. Once you've done that top one, you'll get a feel for where you might want it. And hopefully if my lines are level, like I say, most pragmatic people would have measured that, wouldn't they? There you go. I think it's a bit quirky if he's offline and slightly different sizes and you get to work with that. I think that's all part of the beauty of it. What I think we will do is we'll come down this beak a little bit. Okay, you can see what we're doing there. And you can decide here how deep you want to go, how straight you want to be, how far you want to get that into the head. I've gone relatively deep. I've got quite a big piece of wood here. And as I said earlier, when I showed you with a kingfisher I've done in the past, you can use very small pieces for this particular project if need be. What we are going to do is we're going to have the eyes set in around here somewhere, which will be rather large. So we need to work out roughly where we're going to put those two. So we're just going to bring them down. Just going to keep rocking this wood down on the beak until I'm happy. I think I probably, and I think I knew this from the start, I think I probably had this beak a touch too low, but then it was quite a big piece of wood I've got working with here. So I do know that I've got room to chisel away because he's looking a little bit like Orville at the moment. But anyway, that is where we are with it. Bring this down a little bit to make it level. And then we're gonna try and round this a little bit more. So we've got plenty of wood to play with. Like our picture over here, the wing's going to come from off the shoulder. So I'm just going to bring this neck area in. Like so. Same on the other side. So that's obviously looking very heady at the moment, but we are going to shape this a lot more. Just on that line, we're just going to bring the chest area in. So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to come offline a second, grab myself a drink, but while I save a little bit of filming time, all I'm going to do is take that line all the way around the back here, join it back up there, and just kind of nibble that in to separate the head a little bit from the body. But I'm not going to go mad with it. It's not going to be too much dissimilar from that all the way around, because we'll then sculpt the head in a little bit. So I'll just nip round and do that, bring these bits in a touch, and come straight back. Save you watching me do the same thing over and over again. Back in a sec. Okay, we're back. So all I've done is gone around the side, just nibbled away at it, round it off a little bit. Back needs a lot more rounding off still. Just using that top piece that's uncut, just to keep that level as I'm going around. We'll just make sure that head stays relatively in shape as we just take nibbles out as we go around. That's all I've done from that. I was about to nibble into here and then realised I need to go back onto camera. So what I'm going to do now, as I've already started with that cut there, is just going back up through the forehead, because we're doing an angry bird. I've got to put an angry expression into him. So just going to take that bit back and then just round that back off again. It's always good if you can just to have a picture to hand. I've only got this rubbishy thing here, but what would have been a good idea is if I had a picture of the angry bird I'm carving in front of me. Would have made a lot of sense. But there you go. What we're going to do with this character is we're going to go back from about here up, sort of to give him that sort of evil expression, I guess. Up here, and then we go from this one, just trying to match it while staying on camera. Yeah, there. That already looks a little bit evil looking, doesn't it? So what I'm going to do is just round off and nibble back, avoiding those lines, so we haven't got too much flat area here on the bird's head. I think this would have been better in 1 1/4 inch. Might have been a little bit tricky on 1 inch. I think it's probably quite a bit of wood to be chipping away on 1.5 inches. But whichever size you decide to go for, we're pretty much doing the same thing. So don't worry too much about it. Okay, like so. And we're just going to come down on this beak area here, just so we can start shaping him a little bit. Same one here. Trying to get this quite central. We're going to come back and play with the beak a little bit to make him look a little bit angrier later, I think. I think I should have possibly changed knives on this bit, but there we go. That's where we are on this fella. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to come in here down towards the beak to try and get an indentation on these eyes, so we can get the eyes in here. So we're going to want relatively large eyes, I'm going to suggest, in about here. And we'll go same on this side. About here. Try and make sure that they're level. Getting a bit more of an angry expression about him. And then we want this and this to come in and join here as well, to I might just chisel up above that as well. So I think what we're going to need is a V-tool. So what we've got here, several different ones. Let's go with that one, that one, that one. Let's take a couple over there. So I think what we'll do is just go under that line with our V-tool. A couple of times. Keep looking at your piece, making sure you're happy with him. And we're drawing the eyes in because that's the area we want to avoid taking too much wood from. Not too worried about carving any eyes in at this stage, but we want to avoid that area because that is where we're going to want our eyes to go. Same on this side. I'm going to get that to come down a little bit to get that sort of evil look about it. Could even shape this side a little bit to make it look a little bit eyebrowy. Might work, might not. So what I'm doing there is just taking that V tool and just using it more like a chisel than a V once I've made that cut. So I'm just coming in, I'm trying to avoid that eye circle that I've created because I want that wood to stay there. I'm going to end up chipping away that wood later on, but for now I'm going to want that wood to stay there. That's just getting it's just getting it where we want. So we can just, let's just nibble away around the eye. Just give yourself enough wood. You can always take some away at a later date, which we will almost certainly will do. But for now, just make sure we got enough there in the first place. It's going to look a bit messy when you're doing this, but don't worry too much about it. Because we're going to come back and clean it up into the shape we want it to be in a bit later. quite bulbous. Gonna go around and do that. And then we want this area to come down and in and out a little bit. So it's kind of lower here and comes frayed out as it goes up. I'm gonna drag this up a touch. Got some heavy rains today, which you might be able to hear in the audio there. And I'm gonna get rid of that line that I did there. So just keep nibbling around that eye, like we've just done there. And then we're going to do the same thing on this eye as well. So I'll do that off camera in a second. And then we want that to flay back. So what we'll do is come in here so you can dig the eye out. Like so. But it's leathering out. Does that make sense? So the eye becomes more standing out, because we want him to have that sort of angry expression. But as it comes out, we want it to be flayed out this side so that we can get some like feathery effects on it. And we don't want it to go too deep. So I'll start here and then go in. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll continue to do this side a second. Just need to strop my knife, or maybe even change it for a different one. I'm going to do this eye and this eye, and then I'll be back. Okay, we're back. So off the screen there, I just kept nibbling away about 15-20 minutes, which you don't really need to see. 15-20 minutes of me just nibbling away around those eyes we drew in, just getting a slope outwards. And then what we're going to do is try and bring this area down a bit more. We'll just do that with like roll cuts along the top of this sort of eyebrow, I guess. This will just help us create a little bit more of an angry or sinister look, hopefully. We could, of course, if you have the tool, use a gouge. This one is a soft V that I have here. I'll probably just lean that in. Just follow that up. Just creating like a menacing looking eyebrow, hopefully. Well, that's the intention. Probably just hear the kids playing away outside. The rain has stopped. The sun has come out a little bit. Now with the old COVID having all but stopped via media anyway. And the kids are out playing, which is nice to hear. And then we'll go back up the other side. So this is a number 9. I think it's a 3/8 number 9, I think it is. 3/8 number 9. So I'm just coming, just to make this a little bit smoother on this side, going very cautiously towards that eye. But I don't want to, now I've rounded that out, I don't really want to slip, knock that out, video over it. Wouldn't have been. Curve that top down a bit. Rolling the knife to accentuate that gouge cut I had in there. Which should just give him that little bit more of a villain look about him. I think it's coming through. It's quite a long process as we got nothing to copy here, so we're just going for an angry bird look. Just starting to pull off a little bit. Bring this top down so it doesn't look like a hat. Start to resemble a hat. So a lot of this is just picking him up, moving around, taking a look at him, seeing what you think. Let's move away from that headpiece a little bit, because even I'm getting bored of that now. What we're going to have here is, let's bring a wing in from about here. I quite like that wing to overhang a touch. So I'm going to go like that, I think. And then we're going to go similar on the other side. So where's that going? About there. Just get it to overhang a touch. Come back. Ish. About right. It's going to be a bit more belly-like. So let's get it to come from round here, I think. Let's go. Like I say, if you've got a picture, go off the picture. I'm winging it. Winging it. Get it? Winging it? Yeah. Very funny, bud. Okay, let's go. Just taking a V tool now just to lightly go over my pencil line. I can change it at this stage. I'm not 100% sure. Sorry about the sniffling. I seem to have a runny nose when I sit down to do these things. And then we'll go up here and we'll come under here. We said we were going to have a little pair of feet down here, didn't we? So we might leave this area for feet, in which case I need to trim that into a belly. So if I do that, I need to come up a bit here. Something like that, I think. Right. Hang on, Ben. Think about it before you go digging in. I think that's about right. So we will try to create a belly. That's what we're going to try and do. So this area is going to come down gently here. We don't want to lose too much wood because we had decided to have a couple of feet come out here, didn't we? So let's make sure we give ourselves a little bit of wood for the feet. We're going to want this to tuck in as well because we're going to want that to be in like a nice proud belly. Okay. I think we're going to go up into the, don't always go up into the neck on these cats, but I think we will on this occasion. I know I have, so I can't change my mind. What's on one side really needs to be on the other unless it's purposely taking a different form of expression. So same on the other side. Don't want to take that neck too far in because he's going to be just hunched on his feet, looking a bit miffed. Let's just roll this belly a little bit. So really, we don't want to see any of the original top wood. One, it doesn't take paint so well, and two, we're trying to make it round, so we shouldn't see any anyway, so we should take a nibble out of all of it. This wood was plenty big enough for the project. So we've got plenty of wood to take a little nibble away at. Okay, from the back we're also going to have, so we're going to need it to come possibly like that from the back, I think. Similar, I think. Something like that. I used to watch a cartoon when I was younger called well, my kids did. I was watching it with them, but I don't think it was around when I was a kid. So, Backyardigans. Anybody remember the Backyardigans? I think he's starting to look a bit like Pablo the Penguin. That wasn't really the look I was going for, but still, I'm sure that's just me. Okay, we'll round that. Let's round him in. Just getting a little bit of separation in there. So you can see that wing is separate. A bit of shadow on it. As it comes down, what we say here, I'm just going to start nibbling away in this area, just to bring that wing slightly away from the body. And I'm going to just come in. I've got my pencil marking, so I know roughly where I need to be. Okay, we could go up a touch here, which might give it a slightly better effect. I think you might have a slight penguin-y look because I brought those wings down too far, possibly. I think that's probably what that is. I don't think they're going to go that low. So let's just nibble them up a bit. Take that in. So this is all part of looking and analysing what you're carving. And now we've created that, we can start to roll that wing in so it's not on the corner so much. And more round. Same on the bottom, if I can just nibble away at it a bit more. think that wing definitely needs to come up. And that would just come around the back and up into the back here. Yeah, I think we're happy with that. What we'll do is we will shallow that down a little bit. I was trying to think of the right word. Shallowing is not the right word, but we'll whittle that down a little bit so it's not so prominent. And shape it up a bit. Make it look more like a wing than a hand. Like so. What we will do eventually is just take that in underneath here and here, so that wing stands out and he's sat on his feet here. So that's what we will do. I'm gonna have a quick break, coffee break, and while I'm off I'm gonna do this one the same as that one. So what you've just seen there, we're gonna do over this side. Save us a bit of camera time. And I'll be right back. And we're back. Here's our little guy. So I've just nibbled away inside here and rounded the belly. So I'm just going to keep rounding the belly as we go. And while I was off, I just did the other wing, sorry, to match, so he didn't have 15-20 minutes of me doing the same thing you'd already seen. I don't know if that works for you guys or not, whether you just like to watch me carrying on doing the same thing. It's just when I go to upload on YouTube, because I don't have the amazing tech that these kids have nowadays, it seems to take me forever. So if I can trim it down a little bit, obviously helps. I also don't want to get into editing too heavily, because otherwise I'm cutting out some of the things I might have said that was relevant, sorry, what I was talking about. That's my son eating his crisps in the background. Rummaging around. Playing his computer games in the background. Okay. I think what I'll do with these wings is just bring them in a touch. A bit more wing-like. And then the same as we did on the other side, we want to get rid of this wood altogether. Going to go in here and nibble that away. turning your piece, just keep looking at the angles you're creating. So on the back here, we're going to get this to taper in a little bit. And we'll probably give them some sort of tail, maybe. Don't know if that will look right or not, but I think that's what we're going to do. So that back will come in, and we'll have some sort of little tail going on. Okay. Let's try shape this belly. And the rains have started again. Heavens have opened and it's pouring down with rain. Luckily our studio out here has a rubber roof, so don't hear it too badly. It's quite heavy out there, so you might hear it on the sound. May even get that wing to go up a little bit. Just to create that little bit of extra shadow. These feet are obviously way too big, so we'll nibble them back and sit them underneath the belly. But what we're trying to do is get a bit of a sinister look about him yet, which I'm not sure we completely pulled off yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my detail knife. I'm going to separate this beak a little bit. So we're going to go kind of from here. And we're going to go out and around and circle it a little bit, just to separate it off. And I want to try and match that the other side. Circle it around a little bit. Because what I'm going to try and do is just give them a slightly more sinister look. So I'm going to go in on that pencil line. I'm just going to follow that around gently just make a turning. And then I'm just going to nibble away at that, into that line. Because that'll be where the feathers come to meet the beak. Okay, if you're a real newbie at this, you can leave this bit out because it's not necessarily required. I'm just thinking that I need to get more of a sinister look on this beak, and this is how I'm going to do it. And this is going to take a bit of time. Just shaping that beak. This could go dreadfully wrong on the camera, but I'm thinking it's going to be worthwhile. Okay, because whatever colour we're going to do him, and I'll have to research that bit as well later, that colour will just sit in there. Harvey, what colour is the angry bird?
Red.
Red, right, okay.
His name's Red, that's what.
Oh, his name's Red?
Yeah, his name's Red and his colour is red.
Oh, well, that makes sense, wouldn't it? Okay. In which case, red would look really good because it will separate from the eye. So we'll just go around the corner. That little turn there, just gonna bite into the wood a bit there. There we are. Just got that little bit of a chip I wanted to get in there, and I didn't execute that as well as I possibly could have done, but it did work nevertheless. I'm sure you can appreciate that that's not easy when it's a little bit away from my face. So we'll try again to make that equal on the other side. We'll come back and take a nibble if we can, angled slightly, hopefully. Yeah, that one went much better. See the separation? We'll get paint on that and we'll get it into those gaps. Be good. And we're just gonna take that, and hopefully, if I get this right, we're just gonna turn the corner. I'm just gonna take a chip out. Again, not the cleanest, but I think we managed it. What we will end up doing is we will end up with a line on the beak, and we're going to try and aim that to go down a little bit. In fact, we could probably do that now. So if we start, kind of need this to be clean so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm just going to carve a minuscule off rather than washing it. Okay. So we're going to try, it's tricky to do and explain at the same time. We're going to try and go from under, up, and down a little bit. So on that tip, we are going to run our knife, and this is the smallest of movements, not a huge one. As we get to the corner, we're either going to want to stop or go down like that. That's not going to be very visible to you because it's not very visible to me, and I do need to be able to see that a bit better. Could try it with a V-tool, but a V-tool is probably going to be a bit aggressive for that small area. Yeah, it is. Let me get a smaller detailer. We got over here. That one. We got that one. Okay. We're going to attempt this, so we want to trying to come back in on that same line. I realise how tricky this is, so I would suggest you just run this as a straight line, which will be a lot easier. And then possibly you can curve it at the end. Going in a few times, which does run the risk of a few wood grains splitting a little bit. You are going to want to spend a bit of time on this, getting this area as right as you can, because this is where the expression of the bird is going to come from. Okay, I'm not sure how much of that you can see. There you are. I think the light's caught that now. Get a little bit more shadow in there. I might just undercut that a touch. I think we got that. I think we got that. And then the other side we're going to do pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. If you can pull off this rounding, which take your time to pull off that rounding and bury the beak slightly into the face, it will look real good. Get a little bit of a better bite into it. Okay, I kind of tore the wood up at this end when I was turning, so it might have been more beneficial to have taken a proper pyramid cut out of there and then rounded it afterwards, but I've done it now. So what I can do is try and clean that up a bit. Getting a bit of an attitude on him now. We're getting a bit of an expression on him now. Helps if you've got good lighting, because you can see where you cut before. So up until this point, it should be relatively straightforward. This point is undoubtedly tricky. This is where if you get it right, it's gonna look that much better. Got an airplane flying over us. That sound is. And then I'm just gonna take slight little nibbles out. I know a straight line would have been so much easier, wouldn't it? It would have been so much easier. But I'm going to try and take... I don't know whether you can see this on camera or not, or whether I'm wasting my time, but what I will do with this is, if I antique him, or if I do that, I don't know if you've seen some of my other videos or not, but sometimes I use like a black wash. And if I can get a deep enough recess here, you may not necessarily see it on here now. I don't know. I will pop my head up and have a look at the camera in a second, because if you can't, I may as well move on to something else. If you can, this is very much worth getting deep in here, because that black white wash will sit in this cut, and the difference will be immense. There we go. We've got a almost like doing a mouth, but a million times more tricky. Because when I'm down close, it just looks like some of the wood fibres have torn slightly, and that might be because my knife wasn't quite sharp enough, or because I've just gone a little bit too fine into the details. I don't know. I think it's probably my knife. Just going to try and cut this in, just to humanise him a little bit. So I understand we're moving away from the natural look of the bird, but this would just help, I think. Yeah, I think we got up. Maybe a little bit more on this side. So I tend to, it's cutting better, I think. Yeah, we got him. We got him. That's what we were looking for. And then what we want to do is, just I've got all my tools out here, haven't I? I'm just going to try and see if I can separate that brow a little bit, and that might just allow us to give him an even more sinister look. Lean on that beak too much, Ben. Okay. One side. Up the other. Gently does it. Got a few fluffies on him there, but just gonna angle that beak a touch. Okay. Got that sinister look on him. I think it'd have to be cameras at an angle so you can see better. But when I'm carving, you might not see that. But when he's flat, and I've got some paint on him, you're going to see that distinction between. So you're going to see that better. We're going to put some feathers on him here and here, coming off. Feathers on his belly, and we're going to cut these legs in. Yeah. So I'm just going to have a quick break and sharpen my knives up a touch, which they need. I may, while I'm off, just do the same on this wing as I did on this wing, and then we'll come back and shape up these legs, and we're getting closer to our bird. Back in a bit.